Welcome, Sugar Rush Racers, to Geek Salad's Hangout Retro Movie Review. I'm from the Geek Salad podcast. I'm Andy.
And I'm Mike.
And today we are talking about the kind of underrated, if you want to call it underrated, Disney classic from 2012, Wreck-It Ralph.
I think it's underrated in that there are like people that have just like kind of not seen it, but pretty much everyone that's seen it thinks it's rated very highly.
Right, exactly. It's also one of those movies too that is considered to be. Most people think it's a Pixar movie.
Yeah.
And why wouldn't you? I mean, it takes place in another world where the creations in that world have gained sentience.
Yeah.
It's a Toy Story with video games.
Yeah. Well, which is why I'm wearing my video game shirt here.
Yes. And it's just weird because that was the same year that Brave was released under Pixar, which is essentially a princess movie.
Yeah. So, like most people assume that the opposite. Brave was Disney and Wreck-It Ralph was Pixar. When actually, nope.
Yeah. It was the exact opposite, which is interesting.
In fact, they even make a joke about that in the second movie, in Wreck-It Ralph 2, as we've seen in some of the trailers.
Yeah, which I'm looking forward to seeing. We're seeing that opening week. I think we're going to go Wednesday night to see it. I'm taking the kids, so that should be a fun time. And just not to get off too much of a tangent, so we can actually talk about Wreck-It Ralph. But the reviews so far for Wreck-It Ralph 2 essentially are very similar to The Incredibles 2, where it's about as good as.
Yeah.
No better, no worse, just as good as, which is really, I mean, there's been a lot of movies this year that have done that. The other one that comes to mind is Deadpool 2.
Yeah.
I
like it a lot. I just put it like a notch below.
Yeah. I think they're very, very, very level in how good they both were.
Yeah.
But on to Wreck-It Ralph, the first one. It is, first of all, it's one of those movies where it's defined, I think, more so by its cast than the actual characters.
The story, the story itself is it's not completely unique, but how the story is told, like in like the characters and how well the cast embodies them is what makes it stand out so much.
Yeah, I can agree with that. It's interesting, too, because the trailers, and I really hope that they're doing this as well with the sequel, the trailers do not belie the actual story to the movie. When I finally got around, because I didn't see Wreck-It Ralph in the theater, Scarlett could have been old enough to have gone, but she and I watched it on, we rented it back when I was still getting DVDs from Netflix. And we both watched and we both really enjoyed it, but there was this whole subset of the story that I had no idea about because King Candy never showed up in a trailer.
Yeah, you saw brief glimpses of him, but that's about the limit of it.
Right. You got the video game references, and you had the that opening scene, one of the pre-credit thing with the Villains Anonymous, the bad guy thing where they're all just having that support group for all the video game villains, which is just so many Easter eggs. This movie is filled with maybe not Easter eggs. Maybe you should call them Sparrow's eggs that are crushed against my thigh.
I love how that Nintendo gave them permission to use Bowser, but not Mario.
Yeah,
they're very, very touchy about Mario.
Oh, Mario is not one of those characters that would just go and console Ralph or
no. But
at Felix's apartment.
I could see Felix and Mario hanging out, like maybe hanging out at the bar or whatever.
Right. Which begs the question though, if because Illumination has got the rights to do an animated Mario movie, if that was already kind of maybe like lightly set in stone in during the production of Wreck-It Ralph.
Yeah.
Maybe Universal had the movie rights to Mario to begin with, but for some reason Bowser gets a pass.
I think it's whatever. I think Nintendo kind of, whatever they want to do with those characters, they can do.
Right. Well, Bowser also had no lines either.
No, no.
So, I mean, it's easy enough just to throw him in a scene as long as they get the clearance to show the character but not have him interact with anybody.
Right. Right.
I mean, they definitely got the Bally Midway rights, so they definitely got Pac-Man, the Ghosts, Q-Bert.
Yeah, and what was that bar?
Tappers.
Yes,
that was a great reference. I love playing that game.
That's an old cartoon arcade staple.
It is. There's also for me it was a MAME staple because not only did I have root beer tapper, but I also had beer tapper.
Ooh.
Sponsored by Budweiser. But there were so many. It's just you start with this cast. You start with John C. Reilly, all right, who, by the way, got a writing credit, which I don't really believe, and I obviously could be wrong about this. I don't believe that a voice actor has ever gotten additional writing credit for a Disney movie.
I mean, I don't think so, but I mean, I can believe it because there seemed to be a lot. He seemed to be, especially in the build up and the attempt to the work to get Wreck-It Ralph 2 off.
Yeah,
he seemed very, very invested in that. So I'm not surprised. I believe this character is probably very near and dear to his heart.
I'm sure it's very, very similar to him. The design is very John C. Reilly.
Yeah, definitely.
He's great. This honestly may be the best thing Sarah Silverman's ever done.
It is definitely my favorite thing that she's ever done.
Right, because I can take her stand up. Really, I can take her leave her stand up.
I generally leave her stand up personally.
But I think that this character, first of all, it caught me off guard that it was Sarah Silverman. So she really embodies the character, which is interesting. Do you think that she's going to end up in the pantheon of Disney princesses after 2?
I think because I mean, really, in the first one, the fact that she's a princess is just kind of like thrown in there at the end, and just like it's a side note, and it's not really her character is not really princess like.
She's not defined as a princess early enough, I think.
Right.
So it'll be interesting again with the sequel. And I'm sorry we keep going back to the sequel. We're trying to review the first movie, but it's just this forecasting because again, they don't give us much to go on.
Yeah.
I think that some of the other voice actors are fantastic.
Jane Lynch
is playing a Jane Lynch character. Calhoun is a fantastic. She's such a great lady.
Yes. One of my favorite parts though is when she and Felix are together in that like candy swamp or whatever, and all the the
Laffy Taffy starts singing,
and she just and they just shut up immediately because they're having this nice romantic, just a quasi romantic moment, and she wants none of it.
Yeah, it was just the response to it, just that burn, burn, burn.
Yep.
Jack McBrayer was fantastic as Fix-It Felix.
Oh yeah. I mean, this is a character that could have been so one-dimensional, so incredibly one-dimensional.
Right.
And they made him three-dimensional but it's not three-dimensional that alters the character's kind of one-dimensional feeling.
Yeah.
He walks a very fine line.
I can agree with that. I think that what I liked was that there was a restraint on when I started seeing the ads for Wreck-It Ralph. It kind of felt like the villain might have ended up being Felix.
Yeah.
It just one of those like twists that would have honestly a lesser movie would have gone immediately to.
Mm-hmm.
Your Hans from Frozen. He, the hero is the villain, and the villain is the hero. Right. And I'm kind of glad they actually avoided that with this, because, I mean, Felix is just that he lives his program. He's just there to fix things and get his pie and his medal.
but yet they still give him layers.
Yeah.
And
he's fantastic in it.
Alan Tudyk as King Candy.
Oh my God. He's just, the guy's such a chameleon with every role that he does. And this is the one I think that cemented him. I think this is his first Disney voice.
Oh.
I think.
Was this before or after Frozen?
This was before Frozen. This is the year before Frozen. Okay. So you're still in the cooling period of the new Disney Renaissance.
Yeah.
So it was Tangled. 2011 brought you Winnie the Pooh, which whether or not, and apparently some countries don't consider Winnie the Pooh part of animated studios canon. I feel no need to watch it. And then Wreck-It Ralph, and then the following year is Frozen. And Frozen is what just blew the doors wide open.
No, you are right.
This is his first voice?
This is his first Disney. It's not his first voice. It's his first Disney voice, though. Yeah.
Right. And he is the John Ratzenberger of the Disney end of things.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And he's been in Frozen. He's been in Big Hero 6. He's been in Zootopia. He's been in Deadpool. Oh, wow. Moana as Hey Hey.
There's this great bit, a little extra on the Moana special, like the extra stuff, the extra features, and they show him doing doing this like bark, 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 and he turns to the camera and goes, "I went to Juilliard."
The funny thing is though, I know when they said, "Hey, Alan, you want to voice a dumb rooster?" I just know he's like, yeah. But
with King Candy, I mean, it's a transformation because he's channeling Ed Wynn.
Oh yeah, absolutely. If Ed Wynn had been alive, he would have
voiced King Candy. It's very spot on, and a lot of like the jokes, and if you come back, I'll send you to my fungeon. It's like a dungeon, except it starts with fun. It's like a play on words.
Also, not to get away from Alan Tudyk a little bit, but I think one of the heroes of this movie that doesn't get the credit that he's worth is Bob. This is Sour Bob.
Yep.
Because he's just so delightfully deadpan.
Yeah. Now, Sour Bob is great. I mean, there were so many different people who did voices in this too. I just found out. I've seen this movie like 8 times. But the hero's duty soldier that's in the bar that's just like, they just keep coming. They're coming. Oh, for a medal. That's Joe Latrulio from Brooklyn Nine-Nine in the state.
Wow.
Yeah.
And geez.
Yeah.
Sour Bob was voiced by one of the directors, Rich Moore.
That would make sense. That would make total sense.
He also directed. He co-directed Zootopia, and he's directing Ralph Breaks the Internet. So we're gonna get Sour Bob again.
Oh yeah, no, I knew we were getting Sour Bob again.
Oh goody.
One thing I want to talk about with this movie, and this is something that it's fun to riff on the video games, and it's fun to just have that nostalgic edge to things. But when you get placed in Sugar Rush, just the overall concept and design of the entire land is amazing. Yeah. The almost K-pop sounding music that they're playing during the races and everything.
It's spot on.
It is very, very spot on. But it looks like they had a lot of fun just coming up with these different areas, very similar to Zootopia, where you have these different regions of the land, and they're themed to a different type of candy.
It's basically if you took Candyland and made it a racing game.
Pretty much, yeah. And even the racers, with their terrible, those terrible, awful children racers, But one of them voiced by Mindy Kaling, by the way.
Of course.
Yeah.
And then they'd bring her back for
Envy
and Pixar for Inside Out.
For Disgust, yeah. No, it's just amazing how good looking the movie is.
Yeah.
I mean, the attention to certain details in terms of the animation, the fact that the characters in the Fix It Felix game
Or all those little 8-bit.
Up and down and left and right.
Yeah.
So there is no turning. There is no, like, when they move, it's just boom, boom, and then they stop.
I love their little, like, when they're doing little dances, just doot, 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 doot.
Yeah. Yeah, up, down, left, and right. That's all they can do, just like a video game. And I guess like they're like all of their designs, a lot of the interior designs for that game were all squares.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you don't do polygons in that, and just the richness and stuff like the Hero's Duty game.
Yeah,
how it looks. Honestly, it looks like a first-person shooter that you play on a home console.
You said duty.
Yeah. So I'm looking forward to seeing how they take the overall gaming, the arcade gaming experience. And by the way, another side note, I love their manner of conveyance moving around the games.
Yes, yeah,
all
going
on the
through
power
plugs.
strip. I love that.
I love all the Easter eggs in that giant hub of theirs.
Oh yeah, and there's tons of them.
Oh yeah, big time.
They set the ground rules for the universe very quickly and just you didn't have to. One thing I liked, they didn't keep having to hammer it home.
No,
it's not like a Back to the Future. You can't see your future self type of thing. It's all they say it once. You're killed in someone else's game, you don't come back.
Yeah.
Once. All they needed to say, and you remembered that.
What I really loved though was the villain twist. Because they had been setting it up right from nearly the beginning about this the mystery of Turbo.
Right, and it just sounded like it was just part of the stakes of Ralph not coming back to the game.
Right. Yeah, it was just like this legend that it happened and then the game was destroyed and but then when that reveal happens, it is a genuine scary moment.
Right, and it's something. It's an earned moment,
big time,
because they played it. They don't hammer it, and at a certain point, you just hear. And even King Candy says this: "You're not going turbo, are you?"
Yeah,
you can't not do that voice. I think that it worked really well with that twist. Now, again, hopefully they don't repeat that in the sequel. But I'm very much looking forward to seeing how they handle mobile games. Like,
well, like, you saw in that trailer how they handle mobile games.
Oh, yeah. I actually downloaded that on my phone, the milkshake and pancake game. It's crazy fast.
Pancake, milkshake, pancake, milkshake.
Yeah.
The key what we found.
Maybe you should give some to the kitty. No. Kitty gets the milkshake. Bunny gets the pancake.
The way John C. Reilly handles that line, we laugh every damn time.
Well, I love in that trailer that it doesn't take much. It's just this one little... and the girl loses her mind. It is. I'm really looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to this full exploration of that.
Yeah.
What is interesting, also, I liked with the first in aspects of like the first-person shooter mechanics.
Oh yeah, how it actually did.
There's a camera that's walking around and following you as you're doing everything.
And that was the player's point of view. I love when she sees like Ralph just
Yeah.
I'm just wondering, like, how would my reaction be if I'm just like, playing a first-person shooter, suddenly I see this character that I've never seen before, just going crazy.
Right. Well, she only played the game. That girl only played that game once.
Yeah.
And that's another thing too, is that these games, these made-up games, were just so fun-looking that you go out and you look for like the Flash versions of Fix It Felix, which there is a Flash version available online that you can play.
I played it.
Yeah. You played the stand-up arcade version.
Yeah, I played the stand-up arcade version, and it is actually really fun.
Right. And that's a cool thing too. I just want to point out again back into the art direction, the attention to the 80s cabinet detail. It really it looks so much like Donkey Kong. It's just fantastic, like the over-exaggerated artwork that they use for that.
Oh yeah.
And like something like Sugar Rush looks to be like a late 90s racing game. The kind of game that you would find at the movie theater. Like in that little side arcade. Just the side cabinet art for that, which, by the way, there is an Easter egg in there. Vanellope is on the side of the cabinet.
Nice.
Yeah. You really only see it at the very beginning of the movie when they bring the game in. So there's the thing where, they open up the game, and then there's that time lapse where people are just kind of coming back in and out of the arcade.
Yeah.
Next time you watch it, look at that. Just look where the Sugar Rush game is. Right on the cabinet is Vanellope.
It basically, if you've got fast eye, you can spot, and kind of tells you, oh, she's the main character of that.
Right, but you wouldn't notice that because it's not what your eye is drawn to the first time you watch it. This is the beauty of Easter eggs.
Yep.
Or sparrow's eggs, which can be crushed.
I did like Zangief in that.
Zangief was fantastic. I love that they got everything about him right. From his just ridiculous proportions and that zigzag of chest, like that lightning bolt of chest hair.
But you may be bad guy, but that doesn't mean you have to be
bad guy. Oh, thanks, Satan. It's Satine. There are so many. I mean, the interesting thing too is that they focused on Zangief and not Bison.
Yeah.
Bison gets one line, and if it were me doing that voice, I would totally have done Raul Julia from Street Fighter the movie.
Of course.
You're not going turbo, are you?
I also loved Q-Bert only talks in.
Oh, that was great, and I do love that there was refuge for them. Yeah. And they're just welcomed into the game as a bonus round.
Yeah.
So
I used to play Q-Bert all the time, actually.
I have a very soft spot for Q-Bert. I am terrible at it, but I've got a soft spot for that game. Yeah. It's like Donkey Kong Jr. I love that game, and I'm wretched at it.
It's a very hard game.
It is. But I love Donkey Kong too, which is why I'm so akin. I love Fix It Felix so much.
Yeah.
I mean, overall, this movie is just it really hits all the marks of just a great movie, let alone something that I think I know now the Disney parks are going to give it a little more love because it's got the sequel coming out. They've got the meet and greet set up now. So I'm hoping that this has a little more staying power this time around.
I gotta admit, I loved like the relationship forming between Ralph and Vanellope.
I did too.
It was extremely believable, like that, and the fact that they're they have such like very jarring personalities on their own. That's like, but they mesh so well together.
Right, exactly, and it's just they do feel it's a realistic relationship that starts antagonistic, and then builds onto something that is very sweet. It's just it's really like a big brother little sister relationship, which you don't see a lot of in in Disney movies. You don't see it in a lot of movies. Period.
Right. It's a relationship without being romantic, and that's
right.
That's a lot harder to do, and it's a lot rarer.
Yeah. So, I mean, overall, I love this movie. This is definitely a once a year type of thing.
Yeah.
We as we've kind of mentioned, we really can't wait for the sequel to come out.
Yeah.
And again, I'm really hoping that trailer didn't give away the good stuff. I've already set my kids' expectations that the princess stuff is probably only 5 minutes of the movie. It is a very small part that has garnered so much attention.
At this point, I'm not sure because I mean they do marketing pretty darn well in that they show you a lot, but they also manage to keep back all the important stuff.
Right. Well, that's why we don't really know the overall plot of this movie.
Yeah.
We know certain bits and pieces, but we don't have the full picture yet, and we won't. Which I'll admit, I love that Disney has kind of gotten on the J.J. Abrams boat of let's not give everything away all at once.
So what's the title for Avengers 4?
Right, exactly. I don't know, but it cost Mark Ruffalo his job, apparently.
Yeah, well, if it happens on Twitter, you never know.
You're right, exactly. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to this. I hope that it fulfills my expectations, which are high. This is one of those movies that I love so much. I'm not gonna lie, they are very high expectations. But we were fulfilled this year with Incredibles 2 being as good as Incredibles 1.
Yeah.
And we didn't have to wait nearly as long. We had a 6-year wait this time around.
Instead of a 16-year wait.
Exactly. It was only 14 years, but still.
It was hard to make that without making the joke.
The eyes of animation, this isn't Illumination Studios where they can crap out a movie every year, you know?
Yeah, Despicable Me, Despicable Me 2, Despicable Me 3, Minions.
Yep, Grinch.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
And how many Ice Age movies have they made?
How many Ice Age? Well, Ice Age is Blue Sky. That's a different studio entirely. But the interesting thing about Illumination films is that their budgets never go up.
No.
And it shows. So yeah, so that was our thoughts on Wreck-It Ralph. If you feel like we missed something, do you love Wreck-It Ralph? Do you not love Wreck-It Ralph? Do you think that we're totally off base here?
I don't see how you can not love Wreck-It Ralph, but
I'm sure there's somebody. Classic video games are stupid. You can leave a comment below. Don't forget to like this video. Subscribe to Geek Salad if you're not already doing so. We put out content pretty much every week. In fact, we are going to make up for it tomorrow because Mike was in California at Disneyland last week. Lucky you. So we're making up for it with 2 episodes this week. One, which we haven't quite decided yet, we'll talk about offline. Sometime this week, we will also have our Tim Burton, Danny Elfman collaboration video where we count down our favorite Danny Elfman, Tim Burton movie scores.
Yeah.
Because we have an upcoming show for the podcast that we host, Geek Salad, which you can get at geeksalad.podbean.com, as well as the Podbean app. You get us on iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify, and Google Music, even though I know we're having issues with Google Music right now, where we will be talking about the rise and plateau of the films of Tim Burton.
And their hilly responses.
Yes, there are. But you'll have to wait to get those on when we actually do our reviews of all those movies. So you can also follow Geek Salad at Facebook at Geek Salad Podcast and Twitter at Geek Salad Radio. So until next time, I'm Andy.
And I'm Mike.
Go forth and be nerdful. We'll talk to you later.